In the last video, we left off with installing wafer board panels to the front bump out storage section you see here. So we'll pick up from there and do a little more wiring while continuing on with the interior shiplap. Okay, so we did the front bump out section already, so I moved to the rear, and it's kind of hard to tell here, but I've just about got it done. I just need to do one more row. But I ran out of wafer boards, so I need to take my temporary shelf and rip a strip of a panel that I can use on that back wall. Alright, so I finished up the wafer board on the rear bump out and started back on the shiplap panels along the front of the rear bump out. And I got that done, so now I'm starting on the side panels, coming up to the window and the rear AC outlet. I need to stop here though because I need to run some more DC wiring. Alright, I got my DC wires pulled, and so I can continue on with the paneling, and I've added a nailing surface. You can see it on the left side and in that corner, and there I'll be able to or I'll have to loosen the top screw once I get to that point so that I can get that last little panel in there underneath that shelf. Alright, I've made a lot of crazy cuts like this due to the complex shape of the camper. This one wraps around that shelf, that little area that I still needed to loosen that corner nailing strip, and has a cutout for the AC outlet as well. Alright, so this is the area where it goes. Seems to fit pretty well. There are still a few gaps, but that will all be covered up with face plates and trim. Alright, so I'll pull back a little bit so you can see what this wall is looking like, and you can see that I've got all the DC wiring pulled and arranged for all of my DC components that I'm going to install. Okay, here I had to remove the AC junction box from the wall so I could add a nailing surface in that corner, so that the panels on that front bump out will have something to attach to. And here you can see I installed that corner brace, which I'll double as a nailing strip, and I've reattached the AC junction box. So now I'm ready to start insulating this section of the camper. Okay, so here I was able to finish wrapping the shiplap around the GFCI outlet, and I got the cover plate on, and so you can see, you know, even if there are some minor gaps, it cleans up pretty nice once you put the face plates on and some trim. Alright, with all the DC wires going everywhere, it's really impossible to tell which wire goes where, you know, from one end to the other. So what I had to do was label each end of the wires to make it easy to tell it apart. That way I'm not connecting the wrong component up to the wrong switch. Okay, so now I'm starting to insulate the back wall. And you can see I'm using some cutoffs. I'm trying to use as much scrap cutoffs as I can just to minimize waste. Okay, I got all the foam board in, and now I'm starting on the Reflectix. Just got the one section done so far. And here I've got the Reflectix along the entire back wall, so now I'm ready to install the Shiplap panels. Okay, so I've just about run out of the long panels. I have 2 more 8-foot panels that, in this section, since it's only 6 feet wide, it would go the whole length, which would look nice because there's no gaps or seams. But I don't have enough to do that, so I'm going to save those. And I have a lot of 48-inch pieces that I can use here, so as long as I make my cutoffs right at where the studs are, then I should be fine. And those are 2 feet on center, so the 48-inch panels fit perfect. All right, here's kind of a dark picture, but you can see that I've got that whole wall finished. So I can start back onto the sidewall. Okay, so here I've completely finished wrapping around the egress window, and I've reinstalled the trim around the window, and it doesn't look that bad. The gaps weren't that bad that the trim doesn't fully cover them up, so that's going to be the case throughout the camper. Okay, so here's a shot of where I am on this wall. Give you kind of a full shot, but I need to stop here because just to the left of that window I need to install a DC component, so I'll stop here. But before I get to that, I need to work on the outside light. Even though this light has an on-off switch, it also has an auto setting where it comes on automatically when the sun goes down. So because of that, it's not a simple on-off, and it's hard to tell when the light is on or in auto mode. So I'm constantly, kind of clicking through trying to figure that out, and it's kind of a hassle. So I had a couple of guys comment, that I'm probably not gonna stick around with this light solution because it's not the best idea, and they were right. So I'm gonna remove this and replace it with a 12-volt LED light that'll run off my camper batteries. Okay, so in order to do that, I needed to rip that top section just to the right of the doorway off and cut a hole in for the switch box. And I'm just using 120-volt switches here because they work great and they cost a lot less. All right, so here I run my DC wiring through the wall and just connected it up to my DC light. I'm just using butt joints, and I've finished that off with some red and black shrink wrap. Alright, I've got the light mounted here, and I put it in the same place where the solar light was, just so that I could cover up the screw holes that were left behind by that solar light. And here's another shot of that. And just wanted to point out that this particular light has 2 covers. It has a clear cover that you see here. It also has a yellow cover that you can use so that it doesn't attract bugs. But I'll keep that one in the camper and use it when I need it. Okay, so the wall is put back together above the right side of the door, and I've got my switches all installed and the switch plate on. But if you look here, it's kind of hard to see the switches when you've got dark on dark. So I don't know, I'm probably going to switch that out. I'll probably either make the switches white or maybe the faceplate white. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. Okay, so here is that component that I stopped working on the side for. I needed to install this, and what this is it has two USB ports, one 12-volt charging port, and a battery voltage display, so I can always tell how, what level my battery's at. So I'm hoping that that's going to provide some good information as well as some charging ports. Okay, so now that I've got that installed, I've started back on this second wall, and just a couple more rows to go, and then I'll be done with both sides. Okay, here you can see the second wall is done. So now all I need to do is work on the front wall and the ceiling. Okay, so here is where I've got my ground wire, the black wire you see there, that's coming from my ground bus bar. And then I've got the hot wire that comes from the switch. And where I installed that outside light, I had two switches there, one for the outside light, one for this light right here. Okay, so here I'm finishing out that back section of the wall. I don't know if this is a wall or ceiling. It's kind of at a 45-degree angle, so it's kind of both, I guess. But got all the foam board in, just need to add Reflectix, and then I can get some panels on it. Okay, I got the Reflectix installed here, and I had to scrape up some more plywood for those Shiplap panels because I'm almost through my scrap pile. So I'm probably going to need to buy at least one sheet of plywood to finish this out. Okay, I got that rear bump out, the 45 angle section done just about. Well, I got one little strip left, but it's pretty much done. So here I've moved on to the front wall, and I'm gonna leave the junction box uncovered like you can see here, because I want to be able to access that, down the road if I have to troubleshoot or repair something or add something. I'll be able to do it there at the junction box. Okay, the front wall is completely insulated, both foam board and Reflectix. So now it's just gotta get some panels cut and installed. But I ran out of plywood, so that's gonna wait. So that's as far as I was gonna get. But I wanted to leave you with this shot of the Solstice full moon rising above the mountains. Not the best picture, but you get the idea. So the spring solstice is usually around March 21st, and that is the day that both day and night are 12 hours long. So from here going forward, the days are going to be longer than the nights until the summer solstice. Then it'll go in the different direction. But that's it, so I'll talk to you guys later.